and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and I hope everyone is braving the waters okay. I am staying afloat as best as I can, and luckily I haven't drowned yet. And if you haven't deduced the ocean based metaphors that I've been saying, yes, today we are reviewing a romance novel that isn't just sea themed, it is sea monster themed. Today, we are reviewing a monster romance that includes the fabled Kraken, a large mythological cephalopod figure that legend says first appeared in the seas between Norway and Iceland. But in modern day romance, krakens are now making their appearances between the sheets, if you will, and today's book makes a huge splash. We are reviewing Nora's Kraken, Book 1 in the Monster Relations Bureau series by Lee Miller. It is currently $3.99. And I will say, on a personal note, I was kind of nervous to read this book. I love monster romance, as you know, but like outside of it, like in my actual life, I am mildly hydrophobic, or more like moderately hydrophobic. I'm not like real, I'm hydrophobic. And also, I hate things that have like no bones and slither, like tentacles. So, in reading this book, I really got over like two fears that I have, and I hope you're proud of me because I'm proud of myself. And I couldn't have had a better guest to join me on this voyage. Writer and performer, and one of the funniest improvisers I know, Mike Leffingwell is here to join me as we dive into this paranormal monster romance. So please enjoy this review of Nora's Kraken. Well, speaking of bringing things out, I don't know what that means. Mike Leffingwell, welcome to the podcast Too Stupid to Live.
Becky Feldman, I'm so happy to be here. I hope
I
I don't have to die at the end of this. I guess we'll find
um
out.
no one's died yet, so I think
Okay.
that's good. Yeah, like I mean, I haven't. I'm still here, I think.
Well, you're the host of the show. I feel like you're going to be the arbiter of if the guest is too stupid to live.
Right. Yeah. I feel like everyone listens just waiting for me is like, when is she gonna go? Like
When
when
it
do you know what I
when
mean?
is she going to give the thumbs down?
Exactly. When is she gonna do something real dumb and she doesn't make it. They're all just like it's like a countdown.
Does the name "Too Stupid to Live" is that about the the novels themselves, or is it the yeah?
Yeah, it's like I got the name because it was commonly it's like a common kind of criticism used towards like female characters in like your traditional romance novels where they're like I need to be rescued or whatever. Like they just make choices that make them in the real world like that would kill them, like
Oh
so too
yeah.
stupid to live. So, yeah, so I just kind of like I was like that's a funny name for anything. I'll call my podcast that. And maybe the romance world will get it. Well, I don't know. I don't know yet. I mean, they do, but
I
see what
think
they'll
it's a
do.
great name for because it's also one of those names where it's like when you explain it, I'm like, okay, I totally get it. But it also, when you hear it, it just makes you kind of curious of like, oh, that could mean so many things, but it's such an
Hmm.
intriguing string of words together.
Yeah, and it's like ever since I started it, sometimes I'll like see it pop up. Like it comes up on the West Wing a lot. Like the characters on the West Wing say, "I guess I'm too stupid to live," and I'm like, "Yeah, like this show's smart enough for Aaron Sorkin."
Oh, that's so funny. That does feel kind of like a Sorkin-y, somewhat
Hmm.
being maybe self-aware,
Yes,
self-referential. Oh, all right.
exactly. Yeah, so me and Sorkin, man.
That also explains all the tawdry sex scenes they had on the later seasons of The West Wing.
I mean, they were just a bunch of monsters in the White House just fucking left and right. And I was like, that's politics.
I know.
I wish politics could be like that.
When they left, it was an off-White House.
Ooh, that was
Ew,
good.
same.
Great dad joke. I want to
Is that
ask
a great
you,
dad joke? Is that like a joke you would tell your kids?
yeah, because you didn't say you said you're joking about the fact that something is off white, but like you're not making the explicit reference. So I think it's like
We're talking about
when
cum here, just so we're clear.
oh my God, I thought you were talking about like off white, like things like off color jokes. We're talking about cum this
No,
whole time?
I meant that it was the White House. Like cum is white when it first comes out, but then after a minute, it's going to be kind
Oh,
of off-white, like it's going to be a stain.
got it. Okay, so this was not, that was a real dad joke.
That's a
It was a
real.
dad. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was like cum jokes or dad jokes. Let's just be real.
They totally are. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Oh, around
Speaking of,
Thanksgiving table, Dad's always just being a cornball, making cum jokes.
I mean, I feel like what if we all realized like this whole time dad jokes were cum jokes and like this whole time we've all had just like really perverted dads.
Yeah, but nobody's offended. Everyone's just kind of rolling their eyes like, oh, my
Yeah.
dad's so lame.
And it's like here's another like zinger over here and
Here's
he's
another
just
joke
like
about splooge.
Okay.
Well, Becky, it
Yeah.
feels like we're off to the races so far.
I mean, honestly, I think this is going so key, so well. I want to ask you, have you before this book, and this book is nuts,
Is it?
read, yeah, well, okay, I find it nuts if you haven't read a romance novel before. So I want to ask you, have you ever like skimmed through one or read one?
No, I've seen covers of romance novels, but even then that was probably like when I was really little. And I never
Hmm.
like I've never read one. And I had questions for you about that because as I was
Hmm.
reading it, I was like, "Oh, I'm wondering what the barometer is for all of this of how the quality of writing or the tone of the story or like the explicitness or not explicitness of the sex scenes
Hmm.
compared to, you know, I don't even know what a run-of-the-mill fantasy novel would be now because it feels like I'm assuming there's like a million niches for
Exactly. Yeah.
people's kinks.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, yeah, there really is no like run of the mill. And I think maybe like we're so used to seeing, we kind of, I think our brains kind of think like, oh, maybe run of the mill romance novels are the Harlequins we saw when we were kids waiting in line at the grocery store. Like, maybe that's what it is. But then kind of with the, I'm going to sound like a dad, like really old. But like with the,
Talking about cum?
Kindle and ebook and things like that, and I'm going to make a cum joke. Like, I think the term run of the mill romance novel doesn't exist anymore. I think,
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like run-of-the-mill like animation show where it's like, oh,
Right.
there's like a billion that doesn't mean what it meant in like 1985 or something
Exactly.
when
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all one type of thing. Now it's like, oh, there's a billion types and people there's a million you haven't heard of.
Right. Exactly. Then, did you have any type of like any kind of like preconceptions about romance novels? Like, what, just before this book?
I mean, uh, no, I mean, did you ever see Romancing the Stone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen Turner is like a romance
Yes.
novel, and there's like
Mm-hmm.
the movie opens with her like finishing it,
Yeah.
and there's not like a sex scene, but it is written in this kind of heightened,
Mm-hmm.
fantastical way of like feeling empowered or like the feel of a man's touch or something. And so I think I don't know. I don't know if I was expecting like more of that or less of that, and that was there. Like the
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
stereotype that I had was definitely here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This one almost had like for me there was a real juxtaposition of the majority of the book felt almost like a Hallmark Christmas movie, kind of like there was like a
Yes.
wholesomeness to it. And then
Uh-huh.
when it would go to the sex scenes, it would be like a big left turn where I was like, this just I thought I was watching Elf and I'm watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes. I felt the exact same way. And it made me think because you requested a paranormal or sci fi book. And I was like, oh, it has a Kraken in it. But then I realized, like, oh, the plot itself is very Hallmarky. Is this even sci fi? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know, like when you gave me, you were like, did you give me a list of things to choose from, or did I think maybe I Googled what are,
Mm,
you told me I could pick the genre,
mhm.
so I just Googled
Yeah.
like, what are different romance novel genres?
Hmm.
And I don't even know if I had a specific thing in mind, but I remember when you pitched this book, I was surprised.
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was not this. But
Yes.
okay, I've never read one, so why not? Like, let's just see
Hmm.
what this is like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is not, I realized also before reading it, during reading it, and also after reading it, I'm not 100% sure what a Kraken really is.
Me neither.
Again, I guess they kind of get into it but I always thought of it the way it was that it kind of explains him at the end. She kind of explains
Mhm.
how he is at the end, where it's like
Mhm.
some enormous sea creature where when I hear this just as a concept, I'm like, I don't even get how this would work sexually.
Sure.
It'd be
Yeah.
like if you're it'd be like if it was like Nora's Godzilla or something where it's like, wait, how is this just physically gonna, how are they gonna actually have sex?
I think they do. I mean, first of all, that exists, I'm sure. And second of all, they work it out, you know? It's all
Yeah,
about communication. But yeah, I feel like it was like I feel like my understanding of Krakens was always Clash of the Titans, the Harry Hamlin
yeah,
thing, and it's just like this, like you don't even see the Kraken's face. You just see it's just tentacles, and the fear of the Kraken is like, oh, how big is it? Because part of it's underwater, but then like here's this guy who's the most softest, gentlest, most protective man, but like he's a Kraken. How big does he get? You know?
yeah. And I don't like, I'm sure this exists even out of romance novels, but I'm sure there's like other types of genres that involve like shifting.
Yep, that yeah. Mhm.
But I guess I was unaware of that. So I always think of like the classic shifters. I'm a guy,
Sure.
and then when there's a full moon, I'm a
Mhm.
werewolf, or like,
Mhm.
but where there's kind of a one to one of like you can kind of see how one thing becomes the other one.
Yeah.
So it never even occurred to me of like, and then the book would also talk about like there's he would be like half shifted, where he's like
Yes.
a centaur or something, where like he's a man on
Mhm.
top, and then he's like basically an octopus on the bottom.
Yeah,
He's not a full kraken.
no, he was like Ursula. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It was like sexy male Ursula.
yeah. Oh, dude, you just checked all these boxes I didn't know I had in my.
I mean, so did I actually, now that I think about it. Okay, wait, let me read a quick synopsis that I wrote 5 minutes ago about Nora's Kraken. So we reviewed Nora's Kraken, as everyone knows, Monster Relations Book 1 in that series. It is by Lee or Lay Miller. It's currently $3.99. Okay, so when you discover you're the fated mate to a billionaire mythical sea monster, the real titans that clash are what feels smart versus what feels right. Just as she starts her life anew in Seattle, Nora crosses paths with Elias Morgan, a Kraken shifter who went from 18th century pirate to 21st century one percenter. Elias magically bonds with Nora as he's ready to devote himself to the woman he's been waiting for his entire life. But Nora's tentative of tentacles, not necessarily Elias's actual tentacles, but the tentacles of her painful past that suction to her fragile heart. But maybe this time it's different. Maybe this time Nora is ready to release the crackle that explodes into true love.
uh, that's a pretty good summation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like I feel like we need to begin about like just talking about the world, like the what is this world that we're in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So I the idea is, from what I understood, that like monsters or shapeshifters have always been around us, and then there was like a government act that happened where it was like now they're allowed to be out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there's people that are just like, I look like a monster, I'm always a monster. And then there's other people that can like appear human, they can present human, but then they're like can shift into something else.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and so there would be references where she was talking about like Elias's the people that work for him, and it would
Mm-hmm.
be like the maid or the driver or the bodyguard or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and it'd be like with their pointy ears and their green skin, and I'd be like, oh, okay. Like I wouldn't even. They would just they would seem human in every aspect except for like these very passing references, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I personally never felt like I was in a world of
Sure.
like where you're in like like if it's like Harry Potter and you're like, oh, this is the wizarding world. You 100% feel like you're in this other place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It always felt like it was like towing the line, but definitely leaning more human seeming. Does that
Yeah,
seem
it
for
was
you?
yeah, I and honestly, I was expecting kind of what you were expecting. Like I didn't even think that the Elias was even a shifter. Like I thought he was in like I thought he was just like this walking talking kraken looking guy this whole time. And I was like so confused when it'd be like he would put an arm around her or he was wearing a jacket. And I'm like, how does he wear a jacket? He's a kraken. You know, and then but then I realized, oh, he's a shifter. Like it took me way too long to figure that out.
Yeah, no, I think it's there's a lot of things that I might say that maybe will feel like I'm down on the writing.
Hmm.
Um, but I thought there was a lot of it that was well written, and like there's it's all, I mean, it almost is like if you were going to look at like a Lifetime holiday movie where it would be
Yes.
like, okay, for this being what it is, like oh, okay, her two best friends feel pretty like lightly sketched, you know, but it's like
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm not like I'm here because I want to see her fucking this Kraken. I'm not, I don't, you
Exactly.
know what I mean?
And absolutely. And you know what? And that delivers. Like I was like very pleasantly surprised by, all of the Kraken sex scenes. I loved it. I loved it.
I did too. There the two main thoughts that I would have were um well, look, no, I thought they were definitely effective, but there were definitely moments where I was like, this seems like it would be overwhelming if you were
Oh
a woman,
yeah.
just to be like, oh, there's like I'm feeling your tentacles touching part of me and I'm not even aware of like where it's coming from. And if that
Hmm.
was happening like many times over, it for me anyway, I was just like, I don't, this seems like too much.
I have a horrifying fear of that. Like not a fear, but I think like this is my first tentacle based full romance I ever read, and I think I had a fear for that very reason of like I just like I'm like I don't understand things that don't have bones inside them. Like that's just me. I'm This is no kink shaming. I just like I need like I just don't like things that slither. I am just not a fan.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I use like these books to kind of like help me get past some of the things I find grotesque for no reason. And that was one of the reasons was just like, oh, like I don't like being surprised. Like if like, someone walks in the door behind me and I don't know they're coming, I'm just like, ah! I don't like that feeling. And
Yeah.
so to have that with a tentacle during the most vulnerable moments you can have, yeah, I'm 100% with you.
And then I would also be just kind of confused. And I wouldn't, I didn't go back to like reread it because at the end of
Right.
the day, I was like, well, they're having sex. Like, I get it.
Who cares? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there were some things where I was like just unclear on the physics of like, wait, what? It's because it seems like, all right, I'm going to put a tentacle inside you to open you up
Mhm.
more so that when my mating tentacle goes inside you, you're ready for it. And I was like,
Mhm.
wait, how many, how many
How many
tentacles are
tentacles
there?
does he have? Like it would just felt like I was well, first of all, my number one question was and is his dick also a tentacle or is it a dick? And is that true? Like what tell me like what is a kraken's dick? Because now I need to Google this.
There, I mean, there was the moment when she's kind of looking at him when he's half shifted, and she was like, "Is that your cock?" And he's like, "It's my mating tentacle," which feels
Hmm.
like you're just kind of like splitting hairs here. And also,
Exactly.
if you if you're showing someone your penis, but it's
Hmm.
next to all these penis type things,
Yes.
but that are like 10 times bigger, it's like
Yeah.
it seems like no matter how big his dick is, it's gonna seem really small.
I know. It's like showing people, it's like showing someone your bangs and not like your hair length. You know what I mean? Like it's like like who cares about like it's like yeah those are the bangs like those aren't that's not your full head of hair,
Yeah,
like I'm more it is kind of interesting like I don't know like well, now I'm thinking like in the kraken world like do the guys there like have dick size measurements, is that a thing there because they have their you know tentacles always going to be longer than their dicks.
sure.
Do they have tentacle size races and not like dick, size
I mean, doesn't
contests?
it seem though, and I don't think the book ever says it, but doesn't it seem like because he's like it's like my mating tentacle.
Yeah.
So I think the inference is that it's his penis, but that it becomes like I don't think, or unless he has like, and here's my human penis just kind of dangling here, which looks even
Yeah.
three times smaller than the mating tentacle.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, no, but you should see me when I'm cracking.
Can we turn the temperature of this water up? This is
Yeah.
usually, sorry, my water heater's broken.
It's so cold. Yeah.
It's look, it's November in Seattle. It just feels like I guess it feels like the inference is that he's hulking out. So my
Yeah.
assumption is that his mating tentacle is bigger than his dick.
Hmm.
And I think was she saying there was like bumps on it or something,
Yeah, like the little like suctiony cups, and there
or
were
were those
bumps,
suction
and
cups on the mating tentacle?
no, you know what? There were bridges on the mating tentacle, but the suction cups were on the tentacles, because when he would penetrate her with just a regular old tentacle, the suctiony she enjoyed.
Yeah. Which I get, I could see that being a thing.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like, they literally like make sex toys that mimic that exact movement these days. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I'm like, she had, and also like, she has the sex toy everyone wants with a person who will make her breakfast in the morning. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, because a ridged mating tentacle just sort of feels like one of those dildos with the bumps on it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, that's what I love about like kind of this type of romance of like monster. I mean, I love monster romances, but it's just like like the authors can have so much fun with dicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Something that I was impressed by with the sex scenes, because there were, let's say there were like 5 or 6 sex scenes
Mm-hmm.
throughout the novel. I don't know how many there actually were, but like at the end of the day, you're just kind of rearranging furniture of the
Mm-hmm.
same things basically happening, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it didn't just feel like she was just like taking a thesaurus and being like, what's another word for undulating or pulsing
Right.
or whatever, moaning or
Mm-hmm.
shivering or whatever. I was like, oh, these are like well written in a way where like
Mm-hmm.
I have a stereotype of what this is going to be like, and this is fulfilling the stereotype, but not in a way where I'm kind of rolling my eyes at it and being like, this is stupid. I'm like, oh, this is kind of like sexy, and like it's even the
Yeah.
situation that like am not turned on by at all, but it's being described in a way where it's like, but it seems like it's working for these two.
Yeah, it seemed like it like more like in this type of where the what the plot is. Like I feel like kind of the story itself outside of like the love story is it's a woman who's trying to escape her ex who was very possessive, and she finds a man who more or less saves her,
Yeah,
which I mean, on paper, that plot line a little eye rolly, I think.
yeah,
But it was the sex and the love between the two of them. I think just like delving in their characters, of course, but it was just like the hot sex and the fact that she was liking it and the fact that they were exploring. I was like, this book is amazing. Like this takes like a just a kind of an eye rolly plot and makes it so much more interesting.
yeah. There was a moment. We'll get into the ex-boyfriend, but there was a moment at
Mhm.
the end after there's like an encounter with him, like a scary encounter with him, and she's back at his place and she at Elias's place, and she's finally starting to like feel safe again. And then it's she takes off her clothes and she gets into his bathtub or his like bedroom pool or something, and she's like, "Are you coming, Kraken?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Are they about to have sex?" This feels like she would just be so traumatized and like. And then, but then they just get in the water and they're naked, but they're just kind of holding each other. And I was like, oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
nice. Like this is
Hmm.
because there was one sex scene where it's in his office and the
Hmm.
conversation that they're having before then I was like, this doesn't feel like the moment you would have like raw sex. It feels like they're having
Yeah.
kind of an important conversation about the direction of things. And
Hmm.
so that was the only one where I was like, I'm not on board with this one at all.
Yeah, 100%. Like I feel like it was like there were a lot of moments where I'm like it's hard to I think in general like open yourself up to another person when you have a crazy ex stalking you. And so there were so many times when they were having sex where I'm like really enjoying it into the sex scene, and then I'm like he was at your apartment earlier and left a note. Like you're not like that's not in the fort, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so but yeah, I definitely think with that office scene also with the added element of it being an office and like, you know, whatever. It's during the day. There's people outside. His centaur secretary is outside, you know, typing away,
Uh-huh.
and they're just
With her
like going
clothes.
at it. After they
Yeah.
have like a talk of like, Are we moving too fast? I don't know." And then,
Yeah. Yeah. And then also in that moment, she's like, what if somebody hears us? And he's like, oh no, no, it's a soundproof room, which for me is like a huge wet red flag if a guy in a position of power is like, I've soundproofed my office, no one can hear what's going on in here. What
yes,
situation, what business meeting are you having where that needs to be an option?
thank you, thank you. That is it was horrifying, and this actually leads me to want to discuss about Elias Morgan himself because he is a Kraken,
Hmm.
former pilot and
Pirate.
billionaire. Yeah. Did I say pilot? I meant
Uh-huh.
pirate.
He was a pilot of the seas.
That's what he called. That's what the Krakens referred to themselves. I
Yeah.
don't know if you. I looked this up. So he went from like this guy who's like chasing treasure, you know, to literally the reason why we all pay a lot in taxes.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I have a few thoughts about it. The one thought that I kept having was, um, what is this story like if this guy's not rich?
Yes. Yes.
Because there's so much convenience that you can have where it's like, oh, it's really easy for us to travel, or it's really easy for me to take a day off work, or I always have multiple places to go. I always have my own space if I'm with this guy. And uh, I would imagine you can coast on that for a while before you get into the real nitty gritty of like what real relationships are like.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so when she would just like find herself, I'm finding myself trusting him more, feeling safer with him. I was like, you guys really don't know each other, and not that much time has passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other part, this only came up once, but there's some moment like maybe over halfway or three fourths of the way through the book where he makes some passing reference. It's like a kind of a joking reference to his pirating days,
Mhm.
and they're not. It doesn't explicitly come out and say it, but I was like, it almost seems like they're talking about how he would was a rapist as a pirate.
Yes. Yes. Because like real pirating, he was plundering and like stealing things and scaring people at the minimum, let
Yeah,
alone the real like, crimes that pirates committed. And now he's like I find it weird that like how like I wish I actually kind of just want a novel of his backstory of how he went from pirate to like kind of being like I'm going to get on the right side of the law and I'm going to go into corporate America and I have all of this business acumen and I'm going to start a company. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It's just yeah. Like, was it a like an instantaneous thing, or was it more of an evolution? And yeah, because like plundering, pillaging, and raping, I feel like are the
Yeah.
big three for like that's the bar for being a pirate, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like honestly, I think for this, like, yeah, we could say, "Oh, he was a product of his time. That's what pirates are doing." I'm
It
like,
was
I
the
don't know.
1820s.
Like, shut up, man. It was wrong then, it's wrong now, and it'll be wrong in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
um, oh, go
I
on.
did not really like Elias, honestly.
Tell me why.
There he had kind of like a heightened way of speaking, even when there's something else people should know about this novel, and I don't know if this is a regular thing, but each chapter ping pongs between his
Yeah.
perspective and her perspective. Um, and it reminded me a lot of a soap opera where like there's not
Mhm.
a ton of beats to the story,
Mhm.
but there is a lot of like people thinking about some very minor interaction that happened and questioning what it means and thinking about what it says about them and how they feel about it,
Mhm.
and just a lot of his stuff. um I I mean, one thing that grated me every time, and it came up a lot because it happened like 16,000 times in the book, was he gave her the nickname Little Siren.
Yes. Mhm.
And I know that like couple nicknames can be specific and that people can have something that whatever it makes sense for them. But this was one that he just came up with on his own. I think before they'd even had any kind of romantic thing start between them, when she was really on the fence about like how she feels about it. Because something else
Mhm.
people should know is he saw her in a coffee shop, and then his
Mhm.
Kraken instincts told him, "Oh, she's my mate.
Right.
She's the
Mhm.
only person I'm fated to be with." She
Mhm.
theoretically still has free will of whether she wants to be with me or not. But if she refuses me, I'm never going to feel this way about anybody else. I'll just have to
Right.
walk the earth for the next 1,000 years, just being alone. Or if
Mhm.
she chooses me, then we'll be together and we'll both live an insanely long time,
Mhm.
which puts is just so much pressure to put on someone because she
I
finds
know.
that out before she meets him.
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like that's a very common trope in these types of romance novels. Like it's called the fated mate trope, where
Oh, is it?
it's like you're just you're like soulmate or your bond, like there's like it's almost like in the science of the world almost like how like I don't know, like in our culture we have like peacocking and like in like
That also
Kraken
exists in
culture.
peacock culture.
This is peacock
They do that
culture.
all the time.
I mean, I'm like every time I go to the zoo, I'm just like, oh, peacocking.
Peacocking,
Ooh.
right.
In Kraken culture, they have like fated mates, and they have this in werewolves and like all types of
Oh, I didn't know that.
shifters. So there was a part of me that's like, what was interesting for me thinking about you reading this for the first time is that I kind of already knew that. I'm like, yeah, the mate bond, blah blah blah, not, and I wasn't thinking that in a negative way. I just know that's the plot of these stories.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting to like hear about someone reading it for the first time and kind of being introduced to this world. Like, are all of the boxes checked to like help you understand, like, oh, this is fate, or whatever.
Yeah, I did not know that that was a trope.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I was going to guess before I would have started, I would think that it would be I've encountered this person that I'm really attracted to. We
Mm-hmm.
have bonkers sex with each other. And then as time goes on, I realize, oh, I have deeper feelings for this person. I want to spend the rest of my life with them. Now it's the best of both worlds. I have
Mm-hmm.
this hot sex with someone that I also want is like my best friend who I want to be the love of my life.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was the inverse of that, where it's like you've been selected to be his mate,
Mm-hmm.
and her whole backstory is that she's was dating this person that was like very possessive and controlling and um, scary. And I definitely want to talk about him too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so like I found myself thinking there was a part when she said we need to have a conversation, and I honestly was really hoping that they would not end up together.
Wow.
Which
Yeah.
and I knew I
Yeah.
knew they probably would. Where I was
Of
like, I have
course.
to believe
Mm-hmm.
that the that majority of romance novels is going to be like
Oh
you're my
yeah. They all.
partner and I feel safe with you and like and I get
Mm-hmm.
how that would
Mm-hmm.
like fulfill that part of the fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But in this particular story, I was like, God, it feels like this woman's whole deal is that she's never really uh, been able to necessarily choose something for herself.
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
guess I wanted it to be where it's and the kind of like it tips its hat to it where it's like, okay, we can stay together, but we're going to take things slow. And it just still kind of feels, I don't know, like they're you tell me if this is also a thing that comes up in romance novels.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything that I was thinking of when I was reading this was just movies that I've seen, and not even
Sure.
like
Sure.
romance
Mm-hmm.
movies, but just all different types of genres.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like a romantic comedy or something, or a drama
Mm-hmm.
that involves romance, the people are going to come together, get closer, but then it's going to be tested in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it is that the person needs to work on is going to bump up against the other person, or one of them is going to fuck up in some way, and they're going to have to kind of separate. And then when they come together, if they can work it out, they're even stronger because they realize what they need to realize, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, it was like neither of them ever did anything bad with the other one. It was just like a perfect relationship.
Yes. Yeah. It felt like the stakes in this world were all their fears and nothing very external, mistakes they've made, nothing. I don't know. It was just like
Yeah,
every hesitation, like the majority of the plot. And yeah, a lot of romances are like that, where it's like things are going well and kind of the obstacles are just the characters kind of getting in their own head more
yeah,
so than like, oh, this person's been kidnapped or that person, cheated on them or whatever. I feel like with this though, what was interesting is that he Elias had a level of self-awareness unlike other like shifters and creatures in other books, because like there are shifters and creatures who were like they find their mate and they're just like, oh, that's my mate, and they don't for a second think that it would be weird for the other person. They're just like, why are they acting so weird, like, and
yeah.
he very much like, not to an extent that I would have approved of if it were my actual mate, but like he does attempt to put himself in her shoes and be like, this is probably weird for her.
Yeah, I kept a few times in this because this novel I think came out this year. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah,
there were a
yeah.
few times when I was reading it where I was wondering how romance novels must have evolved in like the last 10 years, or at least since
Mm-hmm.
2017,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of having an awareness of like consent or
Yes.
that, and then it's like, and I thought this novel did a nice job of because I would imagine part of the I mean, I know this is part of the hotness of these moments is like there is something where it's just like you have something that I want and I'm taking it, but we both understand that we feel
Mm-hmm.
safe and blah blah blah. And so there
Yes.
would be moments where one of them would kind of just be like very direct and aggressive. But I feel like Lee Miller did such a nice job of kind of like laying the groundwork of like
Hmm.
he was always so attentive to wanting to make sure stuff was okay, or he would like explain something like this is what's going to happen with my tentacles before it
Hmm.
happens, so that she would kind of
Yes.
be. And I didn't feel like it took away from any of like the spontaneity of anything.
No, I actually like to me it kind of added to the sexiness of it because he was like not I mean there is like a power dynamic there, of like who's holding the power at the moment when like he when they stop and he asks for her consent or when then she asks him to stop and needs him to explain, whatever.
Yeah,
Um there was like something very sexy about him just like stopping and checking in with her, and like they made it seem, and like I think in the past but pre 2016, that would have been like, oh, what a dork, you know what I mean, and like
yeah.
now it's like it's
Don't stop the
incredibly
music,
sexy.
man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and like it was just like there was a level, it was sexy because there was a level of confidence there that maybe people today are searching for in their relationships, of like they want to feel like everyone is enthusiastically consenting to
Yeah,
what's about to happen, and like that is now sexier than just like someone who just knows what they're doing, doesn't need to check in.
yeah, yeah. Because that other version kind of feels like the thing that I was describing of what I imagined it was going to be like, where it's like, oh,
Mhm.
this feels like a very casual encounter. And then as
Mhm.
time goes on, I'm like, oh, this person has more depth than I thought they did. I have feelings like all that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I like it. I like it that that was part of it. I guess I just found him like there'd be so many chapters, especially in the early going, where he'd be like, I feel so guilty because I Googled this woman that I'm interested
Yeah.
in. Now I know she used to have a boyfriend. It's like,
Mhm.
wait, what did you do? Like, because the information that
Yeah.
they got, I found it insane that like the idea is she has this ex-boyfriend who's a
Mhm.
congressman who's in
Yes.
Washington, D.C., which is where they lived, and
Mhm.
she's been in Seattle for 3 years. Was that
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I liked it that it was set in Seattle. Also, I thought that was a nice
Same.
setting that made
Me
sense because
too.
it's near water, but it's not like California, so it feels like a little moody, which feels kind of Kraken-y.
Loved it. Kraken's move to Seattle. Like I was like, this is where I was really thinking like this. Yeah, this is where a Kraken would live. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, if he moves to Maine, that's going to be a whole different vibe. He's going to have like a
They're
corncob pipe
weird.
or something. Or
I know, and they're kind of weird there. Actually, I have no idea. I haven't been to Maine since I was 6, but I
you know
imagine they're
what?
weird
I
there.
say we let's shit on that demographic of the too stupid to live people. I think Maine
Let's
people
do it.
suck. The whole state is a big garbage dump.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, oh man, I could talk about how much I hate Maine forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
okay.
but so she's with this guy who and it was very this guy was almost even more thinly drawn than the friends, where it's
Mhm.
just kind of referred to like he would kind of tell her what to wear and he didn't want her to work or go to school. And it didn't, it sounded like a terrible relationship, but there was a lot of it where he just kind of seemed like an asshole.
Yeah.
But then the way it was referred to, like in her memory, would just be like it was almost like sleeping with the enemy, where like I was married to this guy that beat the shit out of me every day and I had to escape. Whereas like is this one it was like, well, it sounds like this guy's just kind of a dick. I feel like I didn't misremember this. There was one reference that there's something physical had happened like right before she left, right?
Correct. Yeah, there was one moment where they like I think like he grabs her and it was like jarring. But yeah, it wasn't like the extent of like kind of your it wasn't like this wife beater guy. He was very
Yeah.
emotionally abusive.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
like I so there's that part of it, and I don't want this to be like I would don't want it to be more traumatic than it already
Of
is.
course. Yeah, no,
But but it
100%.
but it also felt kind of like a little half like it was a half step. Like I just wish this guy had been like a complete monster. Because even
Yeah.
when Elias like there'd be all these things of like Elias being like, I wish I could take out all my Kraken rage on this guy for what he did. And I was like,
Mhm.
what would you know that he did? All you found is photos of them at like DC dinners and stuff. You're not going to
Mhm.
find like an article that says what was really going on behind
Exactly.
the scenes, because the idea was like she's the only one who knows. So
Yeah.
that was weird to me, that there was this thing of like everybody in all everyone at the Monster Relation Bureau knows what a monster this guy is, and they wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, kind of what I wanted, like, was like, because I think there's like a lot of this theme, there's like this thematic element of possession, of treasure, and what it means to like treasure someone and treasure
Yeah.
something. And like, there was something very interesting about the idea of like, Krakens having this innate need to possess just because they're animals and they're monsters, or what monsters, quote unquote, and then you kind of have a human man doing the same thing, but it's incredibly horrifying and offensive, and it's like kind of like this exploration of like what the importance of context, I guess, in your actions. And I think part of me wanted to see that more, a little bit of like seeing, maybe, I don't know, maybe like I seeing Elias kind of not behave in the same way Daniel does, but just feeling the same level of passion on a positive side, that the passion that Daniel is feeling on the negative side, and it looking the same maybe, and her being like, "Oh, I trust him."
Yeah, yeah, and maybe this just isn't something that exists in this type of genre, but I wanted it to be a little messier. I wanted
Yeah.
it to be
Mhm.
where maybe Elias does something that does make her be like, "Oh, you're being kind of a dick," and then
Mhm.
he has to kind of look at himself in a way. Or when Daniel finally show, this is the other thing that drove me crazy. So
We
like,
have to talk about Daniel.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, the idea is he's this psychopath. She's been gone for 3 years. He's a
Mhm.
congressman and is apparently unable to find her,
Yes.
and then does find her only because the Monster Relation Bureau like tried to look up where she was, and they have investigators that found her.
Yeah.
So 3 years have gone by. He shows up. He leaves a note on her door, and that just is just like kind of very neutral, of just like, "Hi Nora, like I came by and you weren't here, whatever." But
Mhm.
it still is obviously very jarring for her. And then he's kind of like, they say he's in Vancouver. You don't see him again. So the only time we ever meet Daniel in person is he just shows up and he's at the bus stop with her. He's grabbing her arm. She sees he has a
Mhm.
gun. He's like,
Yeah,
"We're gonna go somewhere and talk."
randomly.
I would like, and so I almost wanted it to be, if you're gonna do that, make it where like he's on coke or something. Because I was like, what is this guy's plan? He's a congressman and he thinks he's gonna kidnap a woman at gunpoint, and that's not gonna instantly fall apart.
Mhm.
But so kind of like how I wished Elias was a little, had faults. I wish it. What if Daniel showed up and like he's talking to her, and there's a moment where she's like almost charmed by him, or just like she's
Yes.
starting to kind of feel herself questioning, and then she truly is
Yes.
making a choice of like, no, Daniel is not what I want.
Mhm.
He's seeming this way, but I know what he's really. Or, and obviously, you have to have the badness come out. But does that make sense? Where it's like,
No, 100%. Because like there were times when I was reading it, I was like, "Is Dan like?" It felt like kind of like the stereotypical like grifter in Lifetime movies, the kind of the criminal in romances who are just like the bad ex boyfriend, and like they're like, I don't know, robbing banks and living in cars and just traveling the country, in their shitty car trying to find their ex
yeah,
girlfriend. That he had that kind of characteristic, but then again, he's like working in this nice office in Washington D.C. Like there was just this weird, like, I'm not saying that like congressmen can't be psychotic. Of course they
of
can. They're
course,
allowed
yeah,
to be anything they want to be. But there was just this like disconnect of like, why wasn't he using his metaphorical tentacles to like enact his psychoticness, with
yeah.
what he's trying to do?
Or like if he's wanting to pass a bill that's like makes it illegal for monsters to mate with humans or something, and it looks like he might even have the votes, and then there's like a real
Hmm.
thing like just which, and like obviously I don't think this book is trying to reflect like
No, of
that kind of
course
real life
not.
stuff, but
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
but there are real things where it's like, oh, sometimes people in power can do really awful things, and it either happens or it comes very close to happening, it's really scary.
Hmm.
um and then it also just gives more stakes to, I don't know. So I feel like a lot of this is me wanting for the book to be something that the book doesn't necessarily need to be.
Oh, I'm like that too. Yeah.
But I think it's a testament to the ideas that it brought up, that it would make me think of these things. I would be like, oh, it feels like you're really close to some really interesting ideas about toxic relationships, or about
Hmm.
politics or about autonomy or whatever, like possessiveness.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I think with Daniel, like, you know, I feel like for a villain to really be scary for me is if the villain is smart,
Yeah,
on this. And Daniel wasn't smart, and so it was hard for me to kind of like really feel the threat that Nora feels because I'm like, well, Daniel just seems like an idiot who like got elected into Congress and like doesn't know how computers work. You know what I mean? And it's
yeah,
like I'm not. How scared am I for her? I mean, obviously I knew how this was going to work out, but I think as I'm in the moment, I'm like this guy's an idiot. He's an idiot.
yeah. Like there's a moment when there's the is it Trevor who's like the driver
Mhm.
or the bodyguard
Yeah, yeah.
so he's taking her to her house to pick up some things before he's going to take Nora back to Elias's to stay.
Mhm.
I think because Daniel was in town or in the area, and so she's wanting to feel protected. And he's like, "I'll come in with you," and she's like, "No, no, it'll just be a second. I'll go in alone." And I was like, "Oh, this feels like that trope I've seen a million times where someone's like, I'm just going in alone." And then
Mhm.
Daniel will either be there or something will be off in the apartment, and then
Mhm.
nothing happened.
No. Yeah.
There's this moment in Sleeping with the Enemy where she comes home and there's a whole thing when she's with her abusive husband where like he's always like, you didn't straighten the towels in the bathroom.
Mhm.
And she comes home and
Yeah.
there's like a fun moment when she first is on her own when she kind of just like straightens the towels out of habit, and then she's like, and she purposely messes them up.
Mhm.
And she comes home and the towels are like perfectly straight, and it's this great visual thing of like, oh my God, he's been here, he knows that I'm
Right.
here. It's not
Mhm.
anything that I could ever tell the police because it's just like towels on a thing, like there's no proof of it. So
Yeah, I'll
again, it
look and
shows that the
see.
villain is
Mhm.
smart.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wanted, yeah, I had that same thing where it's like, I want this guy to be not just like, I mean, outside of him having a gun, he didn't even seem that threatening.
Exactly. It's like if he's smart enough to manipulate a constituency to get a vote, he's obviously, do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
obviously he'd be smart enough to, I mean, again, this is about Nora finding her power, but I think if, she was vulnerable at one point, he'd be smart enough, and he was, and continue to be smart enough in terms of her journey to kind of make her, like you said, kind of question her own sanity a little bit, which she
yeah,
can do, like she's allowed to. I think there's just like, I don't know, maybe a fear of making characters look too messy in this book in particular, because I understand it's supposed to be, whatever, we're seeing yourselves in them. We don't want to be too sad, I guess. But I don't know. I think there was room to make it like more flawed, like the character's more flawed.
yeah. There's a thing that happens in certain entertainment where it's like the creator of it is trying to create a certain idea in your head of like this is what this person is like.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it delivers on it in a way where you're like, holy shit, that whatever that ex-boyfriend is genuinely scary. And then there's other things where they will kind of have people talk about someone as though they are a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like. I mean, I know I'm referring to like a million movies, so I'm sorry for that. But there's that movie, The Adjustment Bureau, with Matt Damon
Mm-hmm.
and Emily Blunt.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I can't. I didn't love that movie, but and there, I can't really remember it that well. But I remember there's some part where like somebody's warning Matt Damon, like, if these guys show up, all hell is going to break loose. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
just like two guys in a fedora that don't do anything. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
was kind of expecting for something crazy to happen. So whenever
Mm-hmm.
Daniel is referred to in Nora's memory or in Elias's thing, they talk about him like he is this kind of mastermind monster, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted for it to deliver on that a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because it seems like Elias is a billionaire, and he has a lot of power. Like he has this relationship with the Monster Bureau,
Yeah,
obviously. That Monster Bureau has a relationship with the government. It's interesting that like Daniel, like I don't know, that they wouldn't come to, not that I'm saying I want like Daniel to be running for president and he gets assassinated or anything like that,
oh yeah,
but like, just like something more I don't know, exciting and like something like there was just a lot of fun to be had, maybe is my point.
yeah. Even when Elias rescues um, Nora,
Mhm.
it's he's like, let it get your hands off of her, Sorensen. And I was like, okay, this is the moment they've been kind of setting up that he's been wanting to protect
Mhm.
her. There's going to be a showdown, and then even that instantly, his two friends show up,
Yeah.
the vampire and the dragon guy,
Mhm.
who I also want to talk about. And then
Yeah,
he's
let's talk
not
about him
even
next.
there. He leaves.
Yeah. Mhm. He
And I,
takes her, he like runs, the kind of the moment is like he lifts her up and he runs off with her. And we
yeah,
don't see Daniel. I mean, I don't know what happened, so
I
I
mean,
forget.
they say like the police showed up, but was the idea they were
Okay.
just holding him or they were beating him up?
Yeah, like
It's
he,
very funny to me to think about a Dracula punching someone.
and that guy in particular, because he definitely was like, I was like, this is the count from Sesame Street. Not that he was counting numbers or anything, but there
He
was
was in his
something.
head.
He was like a level of joy and such a caricature, like that was hilarious. That I was just, it's funny to him to be like, "Don't worry, bud, I got this," and then like one,
Yeah, one punch, two punches. Yeah, he when he shows up, it's kind of that idea of like, oh, here's my crazy friend that is kind of politically incorrect and is going to be kind of randy with you or whatever, and
hmm
it just feels like the kind of like middle-aged guy that still wears Hawaiian shirts or something.
Yeah,
But in her
yeah.
mind, she's like, even the way he talked kind of reminded me of Dracula. And so I was
Yes.
like, so wait, is his voice like, oh, Nora, nice to meet you. Hey, don't let me hug you too long.
Yeah, that's exact. I was picturing that, and I was picturing a ridiculous Dracula outfit, like with the cape and the fluffy collar and all of that. And they're just like dressed like we dress. And then there's just this guy, like in this room wearing a Dracula outfit, thinking that we all think that's normal, you know?
Right. And then
Like,
who that person is supposed to be the person that we're like, oh, good, he's here when he shows up and with the
exactly.
dragon guy and is like, you went down the wrong alley, Sorensen. It's
Yeah,
like, this is not threatening. It's like, it's silly. Like, there's something very silly about it. And then
I
the
know.
the other one was Elias's old
Pirate
pirate
man
friend
friend. Yeah.
who is a dragon also. And so when Nora's like, how did they find me? He's like, oh, well, Blair took to the skies the moment he found out that your ex-boyfriend was in town, which feels
Mhm.
like the least effective way to find someone anywhere. Just being like, because Seattle is a big city and he's just looking down at the tops of heads.
Right. And then also like a lot of things like again my brain is going here, but if he's a congressman and like he like I imagine that there's some sort of security unit along with him. I
Yeah.
imagine there's some sort of way to track him. And then also how come like no one was like, what's that in the sky? You know what I, or I guess maybe at this point they know that there are dragons. So it's like, well, why aren't there more dragons? I don't know. There was like something about it that was like, oh, that was convenient, you know?
Yeah, they've got in the Monster Relation Bureau has investigators that can find out who Nora is and everything about her, but the only way to find her is just to go up in the sky and fly over an entire city and look down.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like
It's bullshit.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I want to know what the technology is like, really. Like, because it just like, it's like the, hey, is his name Blair? Was that his name?
There, yeah.
He was just like the guy who was like, had all the answers, like, in like superhero shows when it's like, we need to find where the villain is. And then you have like the nerd on the desk, like, boop, 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 boop. Oh,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
over
yeah.
there. And then the guy goes and saves it. He was like that guy in a way,
Yeah. Like
like it
what
was
if
just
that like what
easy.
if the office hacker was also a dragon?
That's exactly it, which I think that's a great question to ask.
Yeah, I found that I found him more likable than Elias though. So
He
so when
was,
he would show up, I
yeah.
was like, I like Blair.
I liked him. I just thought I had just had trouble like figuring out like again, and I this is something that doesn't need to be answered, but I thought it. What does he do? So he works for like the paranormal FBI in a way. But his job is to find who his buddy mates with. And it's like, are you an agent or are you a matchmaker? Like, what's your job?
Yeah, didn't it seem like he was doing that as like a favor for Elias, where Elias was like or is that something that the Monster Relation Bureau, because that really
See,
would be Monster
oh,
Relations, right?
it is Monster Relations. That's what I thought. I thought it was like that's part of it. Like if you have a connection at Monster Relations, you realize you bond with someone, like you can figure it out. Like you're that's like within your legal right to figure it out. And that's scary,
Yeah.
like just whatever. There's like monsters being like, oh, I'm doing it. So
Yeah, because there's
there's
a whole
that element to
privacy
it.
thing of like,
Yeah.
how do you know a monster's not just showing up being like, oh, this woman that you don't realize is my ex-girlfriend. I just think I'm fated to her.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How do you not take advantage of the system? Which Elias definitely does. Luckily he has his friend with him and all that stuff. And Elias, granted, does feel bad, when he realizes he's oversteps a boundary in the beginning. But
Yeah.
with like Blair, it just seems like he had a lot of time on his hands to like meet up with you know, with Elias and Nora, when it's like, aren't you like, shouldn't you be investigating like monster crime, or like, you know what I mean? Like, aren't you in charge of like an entire government body, you know?
Yeah, I think I took it that the Monster Relation Bureaus was almost like an advocacy group for paranormal creatures that is trying to help
Okay.
like integrate them into society or advocate them for like prejudice against
Uh,
them. Or that might have been me just projecting that onto it, but that's what I thought it was.
yeah, that makes more sense because it would be like, oh yeah, maybe we would help with the mating thing and like helping you find jobs and things like that. To be fair, I would love to see a scene where Blair is like kind of helping like a bunch of like monsters like fill out forms,
Hmm.
to get employment, or like, teach get having them go to school. Like, I just want to know like more about this world. I just want everything in this world that's except a romance, maybe. I don't know.
Wolfman's like, you helped me learn to read.
Exactly. I mean, how beautiful would that be? And
Yeah,
like Blair gets like an award and like a street named after him. I mean, future's endless for him.
yeah. And then he has hot sex with a city planner or something.
Oh, thank you. I hope that's the next. It seems as if like his book is next, and then maybe weird Count Dracula guy might be like the. I don't know. I just got this sense that like, okay, this is the Monsters Bureau. Maybe like the three of them are the monsters, and they're like the vigilante team. And then the next book is like the dragon one. The book
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that
because
is
the
the
next
vampire
one
guy.
is called Kenna's Dragon, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Kenna
Yeah.
was
So,
one of
mhm.
Nora's friends.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Blair seems, maybe this is just how I was reading it, but like he seems like such a non-sexual person.
Yes. I saw him for some reason as like, the boss in like The Americans, like I just I saw him as like one of
Yeah.
like not even older than that. Like just like kind of like I don't know, like Robert Downey Jr. and Oppenheimer, like just like you're just like you've already lived your life, but oh, he's gonna be like this like a sexual object in the next one,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah. And I know he used to be a pirate and he's been alive for a long time. This is something else I want to talk about
yes,
is the age difference.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a huge age difference.
Is it 300 years? Is that the idea?
It's like 300 years. So yeah, Elias is 300, and but he like kind of, it seems as if he stopped aging when he looked, or I mean, he looks like he's like mid 30s, early 40s. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of how they make it seem. So he's not like decrepit or anything. But he's 300 years old and she's 27.
Not decrepit, he's apparently fucking hot. He's got a tight little bod and
He's swimmer's bod.
swimmer's bod and wavy black hair and
He is
light stubble.
gorgeous and perfect, and just in that lovely suit that he wears and the jacket. I mean,
But with the
he's
scar running down his face that makes him just a little bit roguish.
I love the scar. Of course he would have a scar.
Yeah, he was a pirate.
I
But
know.
yeah, so it's I mean it's that same thing of like Twilight where it's like, wait, you're hundreds of years old and the person you want to be with is a high school student?
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
so in because like Nora's 27.
yeah.
Like I don't know if I could date a 27-year-old.
Right.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where I'd be like,
Um
I don't know what it's not I'm not saying that's impossible, but there's a lot of it where it's like, what are we going to talk about? Where so it just seems like their lives would be so different. And again, it's kind of similar to the rich thing where like it kind of creates this power dynamic
mhm.
of she's this vulnerable person that for the last years has been trying to like figure herself out.
Mhm.
And then did it say she hadn't dated anybody in the 3 years?
No one. She
So she,
was alone.
so there's
Yeah.
been has zero experience dating anyone. She's gone
Exactly.
and the first I don't know if it was the first guy she dated, but she was saying they met in college. So I'm assuming it's one of her first relationships or only
Mhm.
relationships.
Yeah.
And her one other relationship is this person that's like, we're fated to be mated.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, I just want to know what this relationship looks like a year later.
Exactly. Yeah. Cuz like it's so interesting. Like I can't have a conversation with someone 5 years younger than me cuz I'll be saying something like CDs and they'll be like, "What are you talking about?" And
Yeah.
then here he is having lived through the 1800s, the 1900s, and like he still sounds like Like they still find stuff to talk about. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's just like why isn't he like being like, well, I was reading this parchment the other day, and she's like, what? And he's like, the parchment, and she's like, you mean your phone? You know what I mean?
Oh, right, little siren. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, you Gen Zer. Yeah, or I wanted him to be more like just so as people get older, they get more fixed in their ways, and it's like, what
Yeah.
I hated the Industrial Revolution. It's
Hmm.
just like complaining about stuff that's like, why are you, this is already settled.
Like again, yeah, yes. That's the thing, is that I feel like that to me is like such a funny thing that doesn't get explored in these age difference things, or not explored enough. Maybe is that you get settled in your ways maybe like around a certain time, and so when like you've been in existence, no matter what your body looks like or how old you look, like you have these morals kind of imprinted in you that like you it's funny to see. It's funny how much monsters change, I guess, is maybe they really roll with the punches, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I guess it seemed like he had evolved and he figured out
Hmm.
consent. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's good,
But
I guess.
I think it's great. It's just like weird that he, just like I don't know. I just like sometimes like you accidentally have those slip ups in front of young kids of like, oh, I'm gonna call this an iPod when it's a phone. Like just like those
Yeah.
little tiny things. I just wanted.
Yeah, like I find that like I'll try to be thinking of a new reference, and the reference that I think is new, people will be like, "Oh no, that's we don't like that anymore. Now we like this other thing."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like I want to be like, he's like, is that basic? Or like, that's da bomb. And she's like, go home. That is what I hear. Da bomb.
Yeah, like that it just feels like it's baked into that kind of an older, younger, like a May December relationship.
Right.
But
Yeah.
again, that's the whole thing about, and I get that it's a fantasy novel, but that's the whole thing about this is that like it's that never really comes up.
No, no. And it doesn't need to, frankly. I just think that like I
No.
enjoy thinking about this kind of stuff and just like kind of getting into the nuances of like the mundane life, which is what this book kind of like goes towards, where like Elias is like, I want to live a mundane life with you. Like that to me would be a dream come true. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so like so then I'm like thinking about like mundane stuff, and then I'm like, oh, how would that work? You know what I mean?
How would it work like if they're shopping at Gelson's together or like
100%. Yeah. Is he like, I like kosher salt? She's like, oh God, I have like sea salt.
yeah.
Like I guess I just want that. I don't know. I mean, it's very boring and doesn't make for a good book at all.
I don't know though, but if they work it out and then have sex on top of the salt or something or like
I know.
what if she's like, "You know what I feel like tonight is sushi." And he's like,
My brother? Like
"Every piece of sushi is a member of my family."
yeah, like fine, I'll just do cannibalism for you then, and it's beautiful.
Um, my favorite thing is the cover of this book is like them standing very close to each other, and
Mhm.
he's shirtless and with his tentacles out, he's half shifted.
Yeah.
And then on the very first page is a thing that says, "This is a work of fiction." And they're just doing that thing
Yeah.
where they have to remind people like any similarity to like if a character reminds you of somebody else.
Mhm.
Um, there were two other little things that jumped out at me,
Mhm.
which is there was a lot of reference to like she would say something and then it was like there was a rumbling in his chest,
Yeah.
and I never knew if that was just him being like or like what that
Mm.
meant, like what that sound was.
Yeah, like I think that was a thing that was like, oh, I like in other fated mate books, like sometimes it's referred to as like just one book I'm thinking of is like they had an inner wolf within them, and it's like his inner wolf growled.
And can,
And
and can the other person hear it?
no, it's just like within them, it's just like kind of like this magical extra kind of instinct that they have of like protecting their mate or whatever, or like even like feeling their mate, understanding where they are. It's like I don't know, it's like knowing, someone is in the next room or something, but it's like obviously more than that, it's more
Yeah.
magical than that. And like in others it's like I don't know, like I don't know, like there's like there's this one series where an alien like has like to survive they have to like swallow this parasite, and like the parasite
Why didn't we
tells you
read
who
that
you're
one?
mated with. It's Ice Planet Barbarians. It's great. I talk about it all the time.
Wait,
Um
wait, sorry. You have to eat a parasite, and then the parasite does what?
it the parasite, so you have, in order to survive on this planet you have to eat a parasite, but and it's called, I forget what it's called, but it's like a worm or something, I forget. But
Yeah.
so everyone like has it, in order to breathe the air on this planet. But see, these like parasite wormy things, they do something called resonance, where they start vibrating when you meet your fated mate. So
Hmm.
if you want to live on the planet, it's so fascinating. If you want to live on the planet, you have to decide, I you know should I open myself up to having a fated mate, or do I just like die because I can't breathe the air? It's like,
Yeah,
whoa. Yeah.
I would get a oxygen daddy.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God. They were, and like the thing is, it ends up being, they're a lot like Elias, even better, may I suggest, because they're great listeners and they're not even billionaires. They pay their taxes.
And then the other one was there was always this reference between both of them of like nipping at the other one's lips.
Yes.
And I
It's
would
like,
I know what that seems like to me. It doesn't seem like something that would be enjoyable because I always think of a nip as like a little almost like a bite.
yeah, like when a dog like is playing with you or
Yeah, I think of
something.
dogs
Yeah.
as big nippers.
Yeah.
But so it would be like he nipped her lips, and it almost felt like I always almost read it as like it's just giving little kisses.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
word just would throw me off every single time.
Oh, that's so interesting. Because like I always see it as something that's like, again, I maybe I do think of dogs like it's like a very like playful, like quick kind of moment. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm like, oh, I guess he's just being playful. But yeah, but the thing is, at the same time, like Elias Morgan doesn't like seem as playful as maybe other romantic male leads are, you know?
Yeah. I think yeah, that was another thing I didn't love about him is that every time he would try to be a little playful, it just felt kind of like he had a stick up his ass. And so when he would
Yeah,
do it, I was like, ah, this doesn't feel I don't know. I don't know. I think I just didn't I was not fated to enjoy him as much. And so
it's okay. Dude,
um
listen, not everything is for everyone. I mean,
I love the,
Elias knows
but I
that.
love the novel. I'm so glad that I read this. I'm so glad this was my first one.
Yeah, I am so glad you loved it too. I have a question for you before we end. How many tentacles do you think Elias had? Just give me a guesstimate, just a number.
I I think because when you have something unfamiliar, sometimes you relate it to something familiar. So I always
Hmm.
pictured eight because I was just thinking of an octopus.
Okay, understand. Like, makes sense.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I pictured that he could form new ones whenever. Like, because I just
Okay.
like pictured like I thought he was like a shapeshifter, but also could like shift his size. So it's like if he was like
Which he
when he
could,
was,
right? Because he could become
yeah,
like really like a huge
really
kraken or
big. Yeah. And so I guess I assumed that like if krakens can like adjust their size that they could sprout another tentacle if needed. But maybe I'm wrong.
that makes sense.
So, I'm going to ask you for a rating. Any final thoughts you have. 1 out of 8 tentacles means you didn't like the book. 8 out of 8 tentacles means you love the book. I know, I know obviously you haven't read a romance before, but just rate it on like how much fun you had reading it.
Okay, so I
Listen.
would give it a yeah, 5 out of 8 tentacles, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I just wanted something that I like about um, good bad movies
Yeah.
is where like no behavior matches human behavior and
Mm-hmm.
people don't. And so there was a lot of this, like people don't do what you would really do or say what you'd really say, or there's just like these weird non sequiturs. And with this, there was like a tameness to it where it was just pretty much like here's A and then B follows and then C
Mm-hmm.
follows, where it's like this all feels pretty logical, and I just wanted more something crazy
Yes.
with
A
all of it,
hundred
with the
percent.
ex-boyfriend, with whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna turn into a Kraken and fuck you in this phone booth when there's people walking by or something, where it's just like,
I wanted that too. I hear you.
yeah. But I did really like it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fascinating because I was like, this is not a like I didn't even know this was a I don't even know what the romantic possibilities are with this thing.
Yeah. And it's endless. It's endless.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. I am going to give it 6 out of 8 tentacles
Okay.
because I actually really did love it. I think there was a part of me that wanted more of like the lore, the fantasy world of it all. I wanted to know more about like kind of like the culture of Krakens, I guess.
Yeah,
Um and but at the same time, it was very much a decent, solid love story. And I say like the love story I give 8 out of 8 tentacles for sure. I just think in
really?
terms
Okay.
of like I kind of honestly, because I always rate it like I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. You know, like
Yeah.
weren't my favorite characters, and out of all I've read, but I kind of fell in love with both of them. I wanted them to be together. I wanted them to be happy, and so I think that's the sign of a good book.
Yeah. Yeah, that you feel invested in what happens to the people you care about.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do. And like almost like when you're done reading, it's like you're like, I think I'm gonna miss them. Even though you've read about them 5 minutes later. But when you're done, you're like, oh, good for Nora and Elias.
Yeah.
My friends.
I would give this 8 out of 8 tentacles for me being surprised every time they would use the C word.
Oh yeah, he uses the "see you next Tuesday" word. I'm just gonna say "cunt." He says "cunt," and it was I thought that was sexy. It's like
Oh,
he was
interesting.
from.
Okay.
I think it's very sexy because he's from Britain. He has like a British accent, and
Or
I
is
think
he?
it's yeah.
He
And
said he
so
was
I'm like,
lightly accented, but I never picked up on where he's
I
from.
guess I assumed English. Just and maybe I'm wrong about that, but I find it very sexy when someone who is English says "cunt."
Oh,
it just
it's wonderful if they say it.
Exactly. If it's like someone like with like an American accent says it, I'm just like that and trying to be sexy. I'm like gross, but it's just a proper British man being like, "Cunt." I don't know, like
Yeah,
give it to me any
outside
day.
of British people saying it as an insult, which has
Mm-hmm.
its own kind of like there's a lightness to it. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I ever hear that word being used as anything other than an insult. Like I never hear it used in like a
Wow.
positive sexual way.
I see. The thing is that first started seeing it used in a positive sexual way when I read a book where it was like the Prince of England. It was like kind of like a modern day royal fairy tale, and he refers to it as a cunt. And I was like, this is very fascinating because not only do you have someone who's British, but you have like a royal British, kind of just being so confident and respectful, and then but also saying the word cunt. And I'm like, I love this juxtaposition. So I think that's my brain just goes there.
What if he was like a, a garbage man from Long Island or something who was using it in a romance novel? Would it still have the same
Now,
to you?
this is a good question. He has to be the romantic lead, I'm sure. I don't think it would work. I don't think it would work. I
Yeah,
mean, but I have to read that book. I think I need to. I think that book needs to exist, and then I'll come to a conclusion.
yeah.
It's just I don't know. Just British Brits saying "cunt." I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think if I had had in my head that he was British, I think I probably it would have landed on me differently. Or maybe
Yeah.
I'm just being a prude. You know what? I'm gonna start
No.
using that word casually. I've been too uptight about it.
See what happens. See how it goes.
So Becky,
Yes.
am I too stupid to live?
You are too stupid to live. You were too fun to have on this show almost.
Yay!
Thank you so much for being here. This was so delightful to talk about this book with you.
It was so great to talk about it with you too, and it's so great to see you because we never see each other as much
I
anymore. And
know.
at some point, I was going to read a romance novel.
It's like it's bound to happen. Like one like a romance novel is gonna accidentally land in your hands. You may as well have the best person to help you along the way. And
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
me. Someone who's never read Moby Dick. I'm here for it.
Oh man, that feels like a missed opportunity for the title of this
Right?
the play on
Honestly,
words.
I think I did at one point, right? I'm never gonna read Moby Dick because I read this book. And there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's my review.
I never read Moby Dick because I rode Moby's cock. That's a
Yeah.
dad joke.
If you enjoyed this episode of Too Stupid to Live, check out the show notes for ways to support the podcast. And if you didn't enjoy today's episode, why are you still listening? Thank you so much for listening to Too Stupid to Live. Take care, and I hope you have a wet and wild rest of your day.